everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, Mormon women are being put back in their place.
Nobody puts sister in a corner.
Or on this up on the stand
Yeah,
with the men.
They're making sure, the Mormons are making sure that any possible progress that they have made is being cut back. They don't like it. They don't want it.
They do not want progress. Progress is bad.
It's what they're ensuring. Well, okay, we'll talk about it later. They sometimes you see hemorrhaging and you're like, well, we should open up that wound further.
Indeed. All right. Well, first on the show, as always, we have some news stories from the week to respond to.
Yeah.
Things that have been happening out there in the world. Dan.
Yes.
This one comes to us from Springfield, Illinois, where there's the Hospital Sisters Health System is based.
Sure.
And they are this is amazing. They are removing crucifixes, right?
Okay.
This is this Hospital Sisters Health System. This is Catholic hospitals, right?
Yeah.
I need to press just make sure everybody hears that.
Right.
They are removing crucifixes from emergency rooms and patient rooms.
Okay.
Let's see. The decision is a response to, quote, the changing healthcare landscape. And we certainly don't want to mislead anyone in thinking, this is from a representative of the health system, mislead anyone in thinking that we are all moving away from our main tenets of Catholic healthcare. We continue to be a Franciscan-centered healthcare system in all policies and care delivery. Dan,
What the hell does Catholic healthcare mean?
it's traditionally there have been crucifixes fucking everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think, Dan? Would you like to take a guess as to what they're going to be taking down, or why they're going to be taking them down?
I have no idea. Why would they do that?
People were using them as weapons.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. What the hell is going on in this world? This is not a healthy world.
Yeah. Apparently, one of the things that is happening is that patient violence has been on the rise. And it's been causing healthcare systems and states to take action across the country to ensure the safety of their workers. They've been receiving, and even in this specific system, they've been receiving training on, quote, management of aggressive behaviors. And let's see, they have to go through intensive training to learn de-escalation skills.
Yeah.
The system also has active shooter trainings, silent alarms, 24/7 surveillance, emergency phones, so on and so on. And now they are removing the very dangerous wooden and metal crucifixes, and they are researching safer replacements. So the crucifixes will be going back up.
Yeah,
with
they're
some
just
sort
gonna
of like
soft plastic crucifixes,
Nerf, maybe
flexi silicone. Here's the thing: it actually makes me really sad that our healthcare professionals are having to deal with
oh dear
all
God,
this
yeah,
violence and stuff
yeah.
like that. That's not okay, and I feel for them.
Yeah. Well, apparently they have identified the ones that they are the several crosses that they will be using to replace them, and then they will be they'll make sure that they are also properly and securely affixed to the walls or to whatever surface they're being applied, so they cannot be pried off and used to bludgeon or stab or whatever it is that.
Good God.
That we've seen. I mean, we've seen other uses of. I mean, crucifixes are they're pointy. You get one.
Yes.
You get one and start wielding it angrily manically or whatever,
that could go very sideways.
Really, really, really hurt. So,
Well,
no, it's good. It's good that they're taking the steps to protect their employees, but lest anybody be concerned, some kind of crucifix is going back up.
Oh my God. You have hope in the world sometimes, and then, a good story comes along to make sure that you don't keep that hope for long. Don't get crazy here.
I mean,
what the universe is saying to us as we hope for a better life.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Well, I'm not going to make the world any better with any of my stories either. So let's move on. I've got Pope Francis responding cautiously, being very concerned because there's been movement in the German Catholic Church.
Okay.
There was the German Church just held a synod, their own little synod.
Ooh.
And they actually listened to, women, that's never a good thing, including two theologians and some other things. So the Pope wrote a letter to 4 women that participated in this synod, just saying he's worried. He's worried about a bunch of the steps that are actually being taken in some Catholic churches in Germany, including, but not limited to, being nice to gay people, genuinely considering that women should be involved in things, even priesthood, for example. But the Pope is very upset, very worried about this, and said that he thinks that they are they're moving away from the rest of the church, and he doesn't want that. They're threatening to move even further away from the common path of our universal church.
Wow.
Yeah, they are threatening to do that. They the synodal path, which is the organization, they have supported the blessing of same-sex couples. Some clergy in Germany still do it. They also promoted the idea of just reconsidering the church's teaching on homosexuality entirely and allowing women to be ordained priests.
Holy crap.
Crazy shit happening in Deutschland. What? And the Pope is very uncomfortable about it.
Yeah. Yeah. These people are not acting like Catholics.
Well, yeah. And he's already in plenty of trouble about, about all this liberal stuff anyway.
I know.
He doesn't need some uppity women making it worse on him.
As they do.
Ugh, can't they just calm down?
Well, Dan, it's funny that you went with that story, because I have a story of Pope Francis actually being the nice guy.
What?
Yeah,
being the one that they all paint him as, that he never actually is.
Right. Well, this one is actually really interesting. This story, I saw this story on christianpost.com. And it's written from the most horrifying transphobic perspective.
Sure.
But it had a link in it to the actual AP story that they were pulling from.
Okay.
About how Pope Francis had invited a group of trans women to come to a Vatican luncheon. And there's this really interesting history with this one specific group of women in a town called Torvaianica, who largely are comprised of sex workers, largely from South America, immigrants from South America, but other like service industry type jobs like housekeepers and whatnot, but who during the pandemic were had lost all in sources of income, right? Like they had no way to make money. As immigrants, they didn't really qualify for any kind of whatever Italian government financial assistance might have been available. They didn't qualify for it, or any kind of programs for housing and whatnot. So they were in a bad place.
Yeah.
And they started seeking out the assistance of a local parish priest by the name of Andrea Conocchia, who provided food and mainly it sounds like food, and just aid in general. And he was receptive to their pleas for help. And
that's disgusting.
and so he was able to provide them with some assistance. But he encouraged them to write to Pope Francis and ask for what they need. Right. Like,
okay.
Like you need to let the Pope know about you, all of y'all and what you're going through.
Yeah.
And so they did. And, they started receiving, official church assistance from the Pope's chief almsgiver, who then, later in the pandemic, took them to the Vatican to receive vaccines because they did not qualify for the Italian government's program, their help through their health system. So they took them directly to the Vatican to get their vaccines, actually getting the vaccinated like way ahead of most Italians. And then the Pope has been inviting them to a monthly reception thing, right?
A brunch. They had brunch.
I don't think it was a brunch. Although, like this awful story I found in the Christian Post, they were invited to this luncheon that was largely for the poor. But yeah, the Pope has been treating them quite well and listening, like actually like receiving them and
disgusting,
talking to them and listening to their stories.
Oh,
and I know, just the worst, right? And of course, the tone in the Christian Post is one of revulsion, right?
How could this be happening? What a disgusting.
Who is this Pope? And they try to find some justification, like, well, he's actually, said some pretty awful things. Don't you worry. He's said some bad things about the trans community. So lest you think he's like coming totally around on this, right?
Yeah, he's hateful. Don't worry. He's still hateful. But
what it seems to me, almost, considering the story that we talked about a couple weeks ago at this point, about the Vatican issuing new guidelines as to like how to to what level members of the trans community can participate in like sacraments, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if like where the Pope is really standing. Like it's almost as though when you like meet people and get to know them and start to see the humanity in them, that you somehow like actually
become less of a dick.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
About them?
Isn't that weird, Dan?
I don't know that I buy it.
I don't know that I buy it either, but the church, obviously the Catholic Church's new stance shows some evolution on the topic, which is obviously always good news, even though it's probably not the full evolution that people would want. It's clearly evolving. And I just thought it was really, really fascinating. Just how like through this process of getting to know people and providing aid, and like one of the women tells the story of like she prepared a plate of empanadas and actually took it to the hearing or whatever. And the Pope was like, yes, thank you. Like he was like actually like really excited to get some homemade empanadas.
He's from South America. Yeah. He knows what's up.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the outrage when someone does something right is always delightful.
Even if that right isn't very much.
It's such a small step.
Yeah.
Like literally, oh my. You mean to say that a follower of Jesus was kind to the downtrodden even if they are sinners?
Yeah.
Even if they're considered sinners? Wow. That seems pretty revolutionary. Never heard of such a thing. All right. I'm going to take us to Vermont, where I was reading this story, and I went on a roller coaster of emotions and thoughts as I was sort of figuring out where I stood on everything.
Okay.
My stance on most of this is going to be obvious. What we're talking about is some high schools, including the Mid-Vermont Christian School, or the MVCS.
Okay.
It's obviously a private Christian school, but they do have sports teams. They like to play against all the other schools.
The public schools.
The public schools.
Okay.
So they do. But back in February, they missed a game. And the reason that they missed the game was that they were boycotting it because Long Trail School, which is the Division 4 school that they were playing against in the girls basketball state championship, had a trans girl on the team.
Uh-oh.
And they were not about to play against that. Why? Because. Shut up. Shut up is why. The head of the school, one Vicky Fogg, said, "We withdrew from the tournament because we believe playing against an opponent with a biological male jeopardizes the fairness of the game and the safety of our players."
Oh.
Safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the real concern, was just how unsafe it would be to play against a trans girl.
Yeah.
It was obviously stupid. And you know what, and also just you're depriving your students of the chance to play a game that they like to play. And the chance to even compete in this tournament, because we all know it's not a safety question. You don't care about the safety of these students. You care about being bigoted. You care about your bigotry. That's more important to you. Yeah. Anywho, so it turns out that these tournaments and indeed participation in academic sports or anything by anything that's organized by the public schools is run by the Vermont Principals Association. It oversees all of the athletic competitions and other competitions. And it's, you don't have to join that as a private school. You can just go on your merry way.
Right.
But if you do join it, there are rules. And one of those rules is you got to play the teams that they say you got to play.
Wow.
And so the Mid-Vermont Christian School was summarily dismissed from all enfranchisement with the league, with the whatever it is.
Really?
The district.
Yeah, okay.
They were just kicked out. Jay Nichols, who's the executive director of the VPA, that's the Principals Association, just said, if you don't want to follow VPA rules, that's fine, but then you're just not a VPA member.
That makes sense. That's reasonable.
So there you go. Literally kicked them out all the way out, which now they're suing, of course, because they that meant that they aren't participating in anything. They're not participating. It's like you're not invited to the science fair. You're not invited to the anythings, the GOB, whatever, the math fair, all of those things. You are out.
Good for the Principals Association.
Yeah, my struggle with this has been like, again, we're punishing the kids for dumb things that the adults do.
Yeah. I mean,
But
Sure. Right?
Yeah.
Life isn't fair. This is an important lesson for the kids, I think.
it's important. But of course, the lesson that the Christian school takes away is that they're being discriminated against for their beliefs.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sure. So much.
Yes. So they're suing. They've got who are they? The Alliance Defending Freedoms on their side.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
So-
of course. Yeah.
I mean, sorry, the Alliance Defending Bigotry is
Right.
is representing them. We'll see how that turns out. Well,
The Alliance Defending Bigotry.
yeah, that's who they really are. I mean, they use the term freedom, but yeah, I mean, it's like blah, 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 blah.
That's awesome.
That's obviously bigotry.
Oh, Dan.
Yeah.
In a rare move, a Baptist pastor who's also a Christian college president has apologized.
What?
He actually has admitted to being wrong. His offense, Dan.
Oh, this is gonna go so wrong. There's a shoe about to drop, and I am.
All right, so this is Pastor John Wilkerson of the First Baptist Church of Hammond in Indiana, who, as I said, he's also president of a Christian college by the name of Hyles Anderson College. He recently held a seminar with, let's see, this is what he says about the seminar. With all my heart, what I wanted to do was to educate, equip, and empower God's people to face and to give ammunition for the fallacies of evolution and humanism that permeates our society.
It's such a problem.
He continues, though that was my goal, I grieve to tell you that I probably did not make the best decisions in many arenas. I failed to screen properly what was going to be said or shown in some ways, and I think I hurt many people. I grieve that I embarrassed the First Baptist Church community. I think for the Hyles Anderson College students and the men and women who have sent their students here, if I sent an uncertain sound, I apologize, and I sincerely ask your forgiveness. I am deeply uncomfortable with this uncertain sound business. I don't want to cause a distraction, and I certainly don't want to be divisive.
Oh, really? Oh, you don't want to be divisive. That's how very considerate of you.
So this is all in response to criticisms that the seminar received. One of the most prominent came from Pastor Alan Domel of Maranatha Baptist Church in Oklahoma. He had to say, there are times my heart breaks, and this is one of those times. This past weekend, First Baptist Church in Hammond, Indiana, invited a group of men into their church to teach on creation. Then on Monday, these same men went to Hyles Anderson College and taught the students. These men were not Baptists and do not claim to be Baptists. In fact, one is a member of a Reformed church and the other claimed from their pulpit that he is a Methodist.
No! Oh, God! Someone please think about the children!
He then went on to criticize one of the presenters, a man by the name of David Liddy, he called him a long-haired hippie.
Oh, God!
Who should not be in the pulpit preaching to Christians. He says, a long-haired hippie teaching in the pulpit is in direct contradiction to Scripture. 1 Corinthians 11:14 says, doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?
Oh my God, have you seen the picture on your own wall of your own Savior?
There was also some controversy about the fact that one of these non-Baptist speakers quoted from the I believe it's the New International Version of the Bible, the NIV.
Sure.
Instead of the Baptist preferred King James, I'm assuming.
Oh my God. If you know anything about Bible translations and versions, you know that the King James is like the worst choice.
No.
Maybe not. It's not the worst choice. You could go with the Message Bible, which, by the way, any of you, if you ever have the opportunity, check out the Message Bible because it is astoundingly good. So good.
And so, yeah, it just caused such an uproar. This poor guy had to like give this very serious apology, Dan, for, I mean, I'm sure they were completely correct in their creationism.
I mean,
Right?
Here's the thing.
Like, I doubt they strayed from the message, right?
Yeah, you're all the same, you idiots. Everything you got is the same as everything everybody else has.
Yeah.
There's just no difference. These are distinctions without differences.
And nobody was up there saying, actually, human evolution.
Yeah, hey, wait a minute. This might be a real thing, you guys. I was looking at it and I'm as shocked as you, but what the hell? That might be real. Yeah,
right.
Nobody's saying that.
Right. An apology over long hair.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Also, Christian Post, everybody. It is honestly the gift that keeps on giving.
All right. Well, I'm going to close this off with a story that was generously sent in to us by a listener. This was from Jenny. Thank you, Jenny, who linked me to a story, and then I'm going to start off by this. This was a particular. The story's about books, and Jenny wanted me to be aware of a particular book published by Brave Publishing, and this book is called The Legend of Naranja.
Ooh.
It's a children's book. And naranja, for those of you who don't speak Espanol, is orange. And I'm going to read you the book's description, which is all the fruit in Fruitland are excited for the big race that will determine their next leader. Naranja is the crowd favorite, but when Senor Banana puts Sweet Lady Manzana in danger, Naranja must decide what's really important.
Oh, yeah.
Will he squeeze the day and become the next leader of Fruitland, or save Lady Manzana from becoming applesauce?
Okay. All right. Cute.
Maybe cute until you realize that the manzana, or that the naranja in question, is in fact a cartoon orange Donald Trump.
Oh.
It is with leaves to be his shitty hair. Like, how do they not know that they are also making fun of this guy while they are at the same time trying to laud him?
What? I'm so confused. It feels like this could only be making fun of him.
No, this is
like, how is this in any way a pro-Trump book?
As a matter of fact, there's a photograph of the I assume married couple that wrote this book. Andrew Gamberski and Anna Paulina Luna. Gamberski is in a military outfit with his red beret on top. I don't know what that means. Sorry, I didn't look it up. Military dudes. He's in his dress blues. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this is a very, very much a right-wing propaganda thing, and it's part of a thing that's attempting to make itself happen all over the country. It happened a little bit in Spotsylvania County, Virginia, where there has been a lot of uproar over books. The school board, headed by the superintendent, the superintendent, Mark Taylor, has removed more than 30 titles from high school libraries.
Okay.
You can guess what the topics of those titles are. But there's a new sheriff in town when it comes to books, and that new sheriff is none other than Kirk Cameron.
No.
Of very old TV show Growing Pains fame.
Mm-hmm.
That's our generation for all you young kids out there. Anyway, Kirk Cameron, not only has he written his own terrible books for children, he is doing. Do you remember the book fairs, the Scholastic Book Fair?
Oh yeah, I loved them as a kid.
So he is presenting his own book fair, a competing book fair, the Sky Tree Book Fair, which has wholesome books. None of this.
Yeah.
Well,
the Scholastic ones are just horrible.
Just awful. I'll let Cameron speak for himself. This is a quote from a video on his Twitter where he said, "You can replace these harmful scholastic book fairs with helpful, wholesome book fairs, with 500 books that have all been vetted and screened to take out all of the nasty pornography."
Oh God, these people are so
and
dumb.
the critical race theory and the race stuff.
The race stuff.
The race
Get rid of the race stuff.
What we don't want is race stuff. I think that just means people of different races. I think that's literally all that means.
Just no. Whites only. These
We
books,
don't need
we
race
promise
stuff.
all of these books only have white people.
No, they have oranges.
They have orange people. Which also, like, what my big beef, just from your little description, now knowing that this is about Donald Trump, he seems to be wrestling over a decision. That's just out of character. That's some bad writing right there. Like, that man hasn't wrestled over a single decision in his life.
I also think that the book is meant to be an allegory of the 2020 race. And so I'm guessing that. So they've come up with a bold thing that he's chosen to save someone else rather than become the leader of Fruitland. No, there was no alternative that he was choosing instead of choosing to be like he didn't throw the presidential race for a noble cause.
Right.
He just fucking lost, you guys.
Right.
So
anyway,
don't go out and buy The Legend of Naranja. That's for sure. But yeah, hopefully this is not happening. Like, it's important to note that books are being banned all over this country. Utah is one of the worst.
Yeah.
Lots of states are really going out of their way to get rid of books that do things like, and let's be clear, what we're talking about here, the pornography that Kirk Cameron is so worried about is literally nothing. There is no pornography in these books. There are a couple books at the high school level that are like young adult books that have non-descriptive, like, romance scenes between gay couples. That exists. I think that's probably what the pornography is. But also, if you asked him, I'm certain that, a children's book where one of the characters has two mommies or two daddies is pornography to him too. Like, that's what
total pornography.
That is what we're talking about. And the critical race theory things that he's talking about, not critical race theory, just including black people, or, there's a brown person or an Asian person in there somewhere. That's about as bad as it gets. Or the other thing that they are very opposed to is saying that anything racist has ever happened in history ever. They really hate it when you do that. So please don't say that to them. It makes them feel real icky feels.
They get a little triggered.
They do. They get very triggered. Well, if you're triggered by them, you can reach out to us and tell us about it. Our email address is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank,
Dan.
we have talked over the years about one Jason Rapert, the dirtbag former state legislator from Arkansas, who's always been. He's the guy that did end up putting up the 10 Commandments on the state grounds, and then knocked over by the guy in the car.
Right.
The crazy dude. Here he is. He has now apparently been put in charge of the state library board by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Yes, she is governor of Arkansas. That's disappointing. Anyway, in celebration of his new post in charge of books, Right Wing Watch decided to repost a little clip of him from back in March. As recently as this March. Dude's a peach. I'll just let him speak for himself.
All right.
This is what the NACL does every day all across this country. We are fighting for the lives of little babies. We are fighting against the people that are putting the queer books into your school libraries and trying to groom these children into homosexuality. We're standing up. We're pursuing school board policies to save the nation. We're standing up and have our members running bills in the halls of the state legislatures to stand up against this woke ideology, to push back against the things of the devil in our country.
Now, I don't know what NaCl means to him. To me, it means salt. That is just the sodium chloride right there. But so glad that he's there to fight the good fight against woke ideology. Just a friendly reminder to all of our friends out there, woke means nice to people. That's what woke means. Inclusive and nice to people instead of hateful and mean.
It just sounds awful, Dan.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to have to be nice to people.
No, it's the fucking worst.
I like my bigotries.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you decorated your bigotry yet?
Yeah, we're putting it up maybe tomorrow, I think.
All right. Yeah. All right. It's time to put up the bigotry. All right. Well, we had some folks write into us. We got one. This is a long one, but I really liked it. It's from DA. It says, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I'm from Mozambique, and I moved to the States in 2002. I became an atheist around 2016-ish, although only my 2 daughters know about it. I learned about Ayaan Hirsi Ali through a client of mine. She gave me Ayaan's book, The Infidel. I read it, and I was pleased because she's a black African woman and ex-Muslim. I respected her. I looked up to her. But I had no idea she was an atheist, maybe because I wasn't aware about atheism to be a thing at the time. But in 2016, something happened to me that made me stop and take a closer look at religions. When I came to this country, I was introduced to Christianity, so I went to church and read the Bible. First, I was in a black church, which was a completely different kind of Christianity. Then I separated from my ex-husband and they turned against me. That's a completely different conversation. So somehow a white lady found me and took me to white church. And they will find you, DA. The white, if anybody, especially if you're in the South, if you sneeze wrong, the white ladies will find you and take you to church. They were supportive, and I needed support at the moment, so I kept going. But all this time, I didn't find it compelling enough for me to convert to Christianity. Islam was my culture because I grew up in it, but I never really believed in it. I questioned everything about it, so Christianity was just another religion that I had to be a part of for my survival. Then in 2016, I started my journey. I paid attention to the word atheist. I started reading, Googling, YouTube about the term, and then I realized that I had been atheist all this time. On that journey, I ran into Ion again among Sam Harris, and more atheists, and then you guys. And then things started happening. There was the Black Lives Matter movement, Trump as our president, COVID, and all that. Then there she was, Ion, talking against things that I'm for. First, I was despondent. I told myself that she wasn't a good person, so I took her off my list of the influences of my life. Now she comes back with, I'm now a Christian. I'm confused. Not by her, but by me. I'm questioning my own judgment. Like, how did I see her as an intelligent and free thinker person? I don't see how an intelligent person coming from risking your life, losing your network, your family, your society, and then end up in I'm Christian. You can't be a free thinker. Maybe she's up to something. Maybe she likes attention and realized she didn't have anything special to say that would get her the attention she needs. Anyway, she says, someone please help me understand this woman. Okay. I will just start by saying she is an intelligent person. Intelligent people make sort of baffling choices all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not that's one of the great shitty mysteries of humanity, is that like really intelligent people can believe bafflingly stupid things. It happens so much. If you've ever met like a group of flat earthers, there are some people in there who have brilliant scientific minds. It's just how it works. It's disappointing. It's dumb, but human beings, even like powerful brains, are often have major blind spots. That said, I think she also is. I think this is just a money grab. I think the Christianity thing is bullshit.
It sort of feels like it. It's hard to speculate on people's motivation sometimes. But power, like good scientists in the flat earthers, Dan, this is a new one for me.
Like engineers. Yeah.
Okay. Not like,
I'm not talking about like there's, geologists.
Right. Okay. All right.
I'm talking about, people
otherwise highly educated people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's disappointing.
Yeah.
But I see it all the time. People that I deeply respect who believe in Jesus and, can't see their way past their own sort of cognitive biases in that way.
Right.
It's just it's just how humans work, or maybe it's how humans don't work. All right. Joe wrote into us to say, Frank and Dan, I was listening to your latest episode where you mentioned the Christ the Redeemer statue, and the one that you saw in Arkansas. Oh yeah, the Christ of the Ozarks. It was fancy,
so good.
And it made me think of the Butter Jesus statue that used to be in Ohio.
Butter Jesus?
I remember this. You and I we're gonna have to talk about it. It had the depiction of Jesus with his arms straight up in the air, looking like he was saying that someone just scored a touchdown. This gave the statue the other nickname of Touchdown Jesus. The statue looked like it was sculpted out of butter. It was this sort of, it was like a pale yellowy, creamy sort of color.
It wasn't actually butter.
No,
Okay.
It was enormous, way too big to be actually made of butter. There was even a comedy song by Haywood Banks called Big Butter Jesus. It's no longer there, however. In 2010, it was struck by lightning and burned down.
Melted.
It basically, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We reported on that. I remember that
Really?
story back in 2010.
Oh,
So
in the early days.
yeah,
Okay,
really
of
early
the
days.
podcast.
I'm sending you a picture of Butter Jesus, by
Okay.
the way.
Oh
Just so that you
no!
can see it.
Like, it melted.
It
It's just.
was huge. It was right next to a church. I think you could see it from the freeway, which was the big thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like it's like a torso of Jesus with the arms raised up, and then there's like a flat a cross kind of in his lap, but there's
Yeah.
no lap or whatever. I don't know.
It's not a good
It's
sculpture.
terrible. Yeah.
That's pretty bad. Okay.
Pretty
Funny.
bad.
All right.
Too bad it burned down. And then finally, Melanie wrote in. She's referring to, you remember we talked about the Covenant Eyes app, which is the app that Speaker of the House,
Mike
Johnson
Yeah.
uses with his son to make sure that they are both, if either of them looks at any questionable photos online on any of their devices, it sends that photo to the other one and then says, look at what your person is looking at.
Yee.
Yeah, it's troubling. It's gross, whatever. But Melanie has a good idea. She said, "Oh my God, I'm totally going to use this app. It should be marketed as a way to spice up romantic relationships. My partner and I could sign up together, and the app would send each other notices of which porn clips we're watching throughout the day." I love that. Please do not give Covenant Eyes your money, but that is the correct use of that app. If ever there was a correct use of it, sending your partner spicy videos throughout the day via a Christian app is maybe the most delightful thing I've ever heard.
The people over at Covenant Eyes would be like, there's all this like spike in activity. Right. And they would have to like dig in and try to figure it out. It would be kind of amazing.
Because normally,
and then it would, if they realize the actual motivations, then they're in like this, they have this conundrum of like, well, these are like, these people are paying. They're paying customers. Like, do we make money off of porn sharing?
It's fucking brilliant.
Oh God, that's amazing.
I really want people to do it. I just don't
into
want
a porn sharing app.
Yeah. It's exactly right. It's exactly how that app needs to be. If I didn't care so much about them not making money. Although, you know what? If the entire kink community started to get into it and it made like headlines,
oh God,
that would be fantastic.
It's so funny.
I love it. All right. Do we have some folks to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have a new donor on Patreon, a new teacher, in fact, by the name of Amy.
Oh, so Amy,
thank you so much.
You get all of the magical powers, all of the priesthood powers that the Mormon Church bestows on a 14-year-old boy. So that's great. As our friend Uncle Mark from the How to Heretic used to say, at 12, boys outrank their mothers in Mormonism.
Yep, that's true.
Which is a hell of a thing we're going to be talking about a little bit later on in the show. But if you, dear friends, would like to become the only way that this show goes, the only way that we actually make anything of ourselves is through the generous donations of people like this. So if you can, we understand that this is a difficult time for a lot of people. We totally understand that. If it's not a difficult time for you and you can make up for some of the other people who have had to drop out of giving us their money, that'd be great. Go to thankgodimatheist.com, click on the Support Us tab, and then go to Patreon. There you'll get the Frank and Dan Diary if you sign up at the right level. You get there's goodies and business and all sorts of stuff. So thanks so much to all of our patrons. We've got one more person to thank.
We do indeed, Dan. Our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up. Well, Frank,
Dan,
tragedy has struck.
Really?
In the pews, the Mormon pews of California, there's trouble right here in River City.
Oh no!
Tell us a little bit about it.
Dan, this is amazing. So apparently, over in the Bay Area, which by the way, Mormonism has had a little liberal corner over in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Don't tell anybody.
Well, anyway, apparently like the Berkeley ward is like super liberal in a really weird way, right?
Yeah.
And it's still Mormonism. So how liberal is it? But anyway, so a little tradition had formed throughout the Bay Area where, okay, let me set the stage a little bit. In Mormon church, it's like any other church. You've got all your pews facing the front, and up on a dais, you have like the important people sitting, along with like the organ and a piano and the choir if there's going to be a musical number and all that kind of stuff. But always up there every week is the bishop, right? The head of the congregation and his two counselors, right? Mm-hmm. And then off to the side, there'll be like the two 16-year-olds who are going to bless the sacrament. And that's it. And some speakers will be up there as well. And that's sort of the arrangement. Well, out in the Bay Area, they had this tradition of where they would also include the Relief Society presidency, right? So this is the women's organization, right? And every ward has their own Relief Society president and her two counselors. And
if you're worried that the term Relief Society might have like very sexist roots, just, obviously shut up.
Anyway, they were invited to stay or to sit up on the dais, the stand, right? Yeah. As the Mormons refer it, and they would sit up there too, as they were leaders of the ward, right? Leaders of the women in the ward, but they were also, they were the top ladies in the ward, right?
They were Sister Mucky Muck is who they were.
Yeah. And so, but this was very much a Bay Area thing. This was not, that really didn't spread, maybe somewhere, I don't know. But this stemmed from a group of Bay Area bishops who got together in 2016 and came up with a list of ways they could improve sort of the standing of women in their congregations. Right.
And that will never do.
Their recommendations included things like involving women in decision making that affected them. Right.
What? Outrageous.
Crazy thoughts. Right. Budgeting the same amount for young women's activities as for young men. And that's always been a thing. Like the young men have all this budgeting money to go camping and go do fun things. And the young women, get to make crafts and and whatnot at the church. Giving equal time in services for female and male speakers. That's an interesting one because there usually is a woman who speaks, and they're saying, well, let's make sure that it's sort of equal time.
These are such tiny little ideas.
I know, right?
Within the church, you guys, this is like revolutionary. They're basically like Che Guevara over here with their ideas.
And then they also include a couple more things, citing and quoting female church leaders on doctrinal topics in sermons, speeches, and books, right? And then also referring to women by their titles as often as they do with men.
Oh my gosh.
And so, because you have your Relief Society president. So actually calling her President Smith instead of just she's just Sister Smith. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe when she's in the Relief Society and in that context, people would call her, President Smith. But even then, that doesn't really ring true.
I've
to
never
me,
heard that.
Right?
I have never heard a Relief Society president referred to as President anything.
Right. It's funny, right?
I've heard them referred to as Relief Society President Sister So-and-so.
Yeah, but you wouldn't go up to her and say that. You wouldn't be like, oh, good morning, Relief Society President Sister Smith. Right.
No.
And so anyway, I guess the central church, the downtown leadership here in Salt Lake caught wind of this, grew uncomfortable with it, and they have banned the practice of having women sit on the stand.
They did their job and put these uppity women in their place is what they did.
And the thing is, like, you're talking about how these are like the least like possible actions they could be taken. These are just the smallest, most insignificant. They're gestures, right?
Right.
And this is like they're sitting on the stand. They're literally doing nothing. They're not participating in preparing the sacrament. They're not like
they're not even presiding over the meeting, which is a thing that like Mormons talk about, presiding over the meeting, which is just getting up at the beginning of the meeting and greeting everyone and telling them what's about to happen.
Well, yeah. So nothing like that. They're not conducting the meeting, but it was just too much.
It's a bridge too far, I tell you.
Yeah.
A bridge too far.
And so like it's like these women who have been participating in the church services in this very minor role. It's not participating. That was too active of a word.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
sitting in a different space, in a different spot, is not really participation.
Yeah, and the women in these wards, they feel like it's a slap in the face, right?
Well, yeah,
that's what they're. One of them's a woman is in the article is quoted as saying as much. And it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
I mean, this is one of those things where this is why churches are so loath to try. Like, last week I think we talked about the Church of England doing a pilot program where they were like nice to gay people a little bit, and people were like outraged and really worried about it. And the reason that they're really worried about it is that they literally, like, if you give a little bit, it's going to feel you're going to spark outrage when you take it back.
Yeah.
And they know that, and they don't want to do that.
Right.
And so that's the problem.
Yeah.
So
it's wild.
These Mormons, look, we pick on the Mormons because, we know them well, and that's sort of our upbringing and whatever. They're no different than everybody else. All of the churches are stupid like this.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's like one of them that actually ordains women.
Yeah, there are a few that have done that. There are even a few that fully enfranchise gay people and trans people and stuff. And yet,
those are
bullshit.
Barely churches at that point, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. Yeah. Like we'll even on this show, we will acknowledge how like cool, right, the Unitarian Universalists are, or the what's the one, the it's not Community of Christ, although Community of Christ is actually, that's a Mormon offshoot.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's some of them that are like, they're actually pretty, a collection of pretty decent human beings, right? That are really working hard for equality and whatnot. But then they stop somehow seeming or being very Christian.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
They are.
Right.
And the rest of the Christian, I mean, we hear it every week. The rest of the Christian community is like, you're not real Christians. Real Christians hate the way I hate. Right. That's real Christianity.
Well, and the Unitarian Universalists are like, yeah, you're right. We're not.
Yeah.
Some of us are.
So yeah, but
we as an organization, yeah, you're right. We're not.
I think Bob is. Bob, are you a crit? No. Bob. Oh, okay. Somebody is. I'm pretty sure there's somebody here who is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Anyway. It's what I said earlier in the show, which is just that once you start hemorrhaging people, which, make no mistake, like all churches in the United States of America, the Mormon Church is like, people are leaving in droves.
I know, it's wild.
You're not stopping that. You're not stemming that problem by quadrupling down on your misogyny there, fellas.
Well, okay, I have two things. One is to to confirm what you're saying about them hemorrhaging with anecdotes, because it's like, it's totally true. Like, it used to be you had like your friends in Salt Lake who had their Mormon families, and now you have your friends, same people, who have their ex-Mormon families, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's wild. It's absolutely crazy how everybody has like, oh yeah, my sister just left, and oh yeah, like blah blah blah, and like all her kids were already out, and it's like, it's a wild shift that's happening.
Yeah. Very common to hear about like families where all but one kid has left the church, or all, you know what I mean, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's totally crazy. And my other point, I don't remember what it was, but so it was really important.
Yeah.
But
everything that we say is very important, Frank. Our show is a show of drastic importance. Well, friends, thank you so much for paying attention. If you would like to write in about Lady Mormons or any subject, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
That might be the title of this episode.
Lady Mormons!
Or give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.